Alrighty, how's it going out there, folks? Welcome back here to a Wednesday, 10:10 a.m. That's California time. March 5th, 2025 is the date. Latest activity here. Got some movement showing up on the China Lake seismograph station there in Southern California. That's actually around the Ridgecrest area. 2 earthquakes or so. Let's go ahead and check it out, see what's going on here across the earthquake 3D globe. Not seeing a whole lot listed on there for this earthquake that just showed up. 1.4 at 10 o'clock. I'm wondering if that's that earthquake showing up here on that seismograph station there. I guess that would kind of match the time frame, but maybe not. These 2 earthquakes down here are previous to the 1.4 here. A little bit of interesting activity in Southern California right now, but not really seeing it showing up here. So we'll have to check back on that towards the end of this update video. What is showing up? Let's go ahead and take a look at a little bit more earthquake activity up north here across Northern California. That's at the extreme southern end of the Cascadia subduction zone. Of course, I believe tremor was elevated out here last night. Let's double check that and see what the tremor was. Yeah, there was a little bit of tremor down here across the extreme southern end. That's about as far south as it goes. The subduction zone does not extend south here. The cutoff zone is roughly right about here as the Gorda plate or the Juan de Fuca plate here is being subducted underneath the North American plate. Get the volcano chain up here. So we got 46 epicenters of tremor from yesterday. We'll check that tremor count out later tonight for today's activity. But stirring up down here across the southern end, and that would be... it would be expected here to see some earthquake activity following the tremor that's taken place downstream here. A couple earthquakes, at least 2 showing up on the map for 2.5. Aside from that, a couple smaller microquakes out there today, and some from yesterday. So we'll continue to keep an eye on that. San Francisco, pretty quiet. Not seeing a whole lot of activity stirring up. Make sure you got the most recent data here. Let's see. This is the creeping segment here of the San Andreas Fault. A couple more earthquakes today underneath 1.0. Handful there yesterday as well. It's been quite active out there across the creeping segment. That tells me right there that things are on the move in terms of the plate boundary. One earthquake outside of Bakersfield at 3.3 at 3:03 in the morning. Crazy. That is on the extreme western side of the valley down here. I'm trying to think if that's the area that had that 5-pointer last year. I think that was a little bit more south here where we're seeing the on the 30-day chart. You can see some of that aftershock sequences there from the earthquake last year. But this is a little bit further up north, just starting to fill in some of these fault systems here that have not had any earthquake activity on them in a while. Well, they're starting to fill in. Keep an eye on this area, Southern California, obviously. 3.3, Button Willow area. A couple earthquakes here across the Garlock Fault shear zone, extending off into the Pacific side of the plate boundary there. Extreme Southern California, nothing above 2.5. Some earthquakes there outside of the Hollywood area. Universal City, a couple more earthquakes from today and yesterday. That brings up the total tally to about 20 earthquakes now, following that odd 3.9 earthquake, or 3.8, excuse me, that struck out there on the 2nd. And that's just another filling in area, a region that we haven't had any earthquake activity in recently. We haven't seen any. Let's see, some movement out here across Anaheim. A couple smaller earthquakes, nothing big going on. The San Andreas Fault, they're pretty quiet for the most part. A couple earthquakes on each side here of the plate boundary. Really no major swarms going on. The latest here shows a 1.4. Across the Pacific Northwest, really nothing to report out here for now. A couple smaller microquakes up here following the 4-pointer that struck out here a number of days back. It looks like the total tally of earthquakes here up around 50 earthquakes. It's weird because the magnitudes that they're reporting is they're odd. It looks like this is just programmed, like a 0.200, 0.20, 0.20, 0.2. It's like, what is that? I've never seen an aftershock sequence of just those type of numbers. Very odd. So not for certain if that's actually accurate or not. That's what they're showing up here, but who knows? A little bit of activity up there recently, all across the West Coast in general here. Out in Wyoming yesterday, late last night I should say, 3.2 near Little America. Nothing going on here through Yellowstone, but let's just go double check that, make sure they have updated their time as far as the data goes to match the current time on the chart here. I believe this earthquake is going to be the 3-point. Well, that was about 2 o'clock this morning. There's the 3-pointer, somewhat of a local but distant in terms of seismic reading on that graph. A little bit larger activity somewhere, not localized here though. But as far as the earthquake activity there across Yellowstone, pretty quiet. There's not a whole lot going on there. But I am kind of curious what it picked up there. New Zealand 4.5 coming in right now. That's been a little hot spot down here of earthquake activity recently. Looks like it's just off the plate boundary, 6 miles deep. But where's that earthquake that's showing up on Yellowstone? About 2 in the morning or so. I guess that would be this earthquake, 5.5. And I'm looking at the reading right here. Purple Mountain showing it. The promontory. I guess that would match up there. I think it would match up with that 5.5 down in Mexico, or the just off the coast here, Mexico. All right, let's run back over to New Zealand. I know there's a little hop, skip, and a jump and little zigzagging going on, but I look for these little signals that are showing up on these seismograph stations there, and you can tell that was a distant, larger earthquake somewhere. Nothing here in the States, but obviously that some of those seismograph stations are so sensitive, it's picking up the waves from that 5.5 there about 1 to 2 o'clock in the morning, just off the coast of Mexico. So New Zealand 4.5. Let's go ahead and run over, see what we have from the GeoNet servers on New Zealand earthquake activity. These guys here are reporting it as a 5.1. This is the agency that monitors the earthquake activity across New Zealand. 5.1, so a little bit larger than what the USGS is reporting. Pretty shallow as well. We got quite a few reports coming in to the New Zealand area. South of Wellington, 2,421 reports. There's the felt lines out here. Possible it could have been felt up around the Wellington area, but for the most part, that looks like it's centered. Let's check on this map here. Wow, some people reporting extreme shaking out there around the Christchurch area. One person at least. I doubt it was like that. The majority of the readings here showing light to moderate reported shaking out here from that 5-pointer. Pretty shallow, as noted, 5 kilometers deep there. Quick glance at the earthquake drums across this area. There's that 5-pointer showing up. Previous to that, not a whole lot. Looks like some activity North Island side earlier today, but there's that 5-pointer coming in right now to all the seismograph stations. And did it show up? Do I have a New Zealand station here? I do. That should have picked it up there on that station. All right, moving on. We'll just keep an eye on things. Definitely got some adjustment going on down here. So far as the largest earthquake in the last 24 hours, I guess it's going to be that 5.5 off the coast of Mexico, as I mentioned a number of times now. Aside from that, just looks like a typical day out here. Nothing of unusual patterns. Caribbean plate, though, looks like it's starting to strain out here again. There's a 4.9. Not showing up on the USGS map outside the Cayman Islands area. That's where that 7.6 struck here a number of weeks back. Looks like Puerto Rico's starting to kick back up here as well in terms of earthquake activity. Watch the Puerto Rico Trench. We've had a decent amount of swarming out here along the Puerto Rico Trench here, and that's got some potential for larger earthquake activity compared to what we're seeing right now. There was a 5.9 in that mix, but it was just not limited to this area. You could see it's scattered all over the Puerto Rico Trench region, even here to the east. That's an obvious sign that they're under the strain out here recently. A lot of happenings here across the Middle America Trench, putting that Caribbean plate here that's already being squeezed between the South and North America region under quite a bit of strain. So keep an eye on that. I mean, obviously it looks like it's been active here in the last 30 days, but it's continuing to do so. South America area, handful of earthquakes, nothing big. The majority of these from yesterday, a lot of fours down there. As far as newer activity goes, a mixed bag. Up and down the Peru-Chile Trench, nothing major going on there across the Atlantic Ocean. The rest of the world here, got a handful of earthquakes up here on the northern and the southern end here of the Kermadec Trench. Quite a few fours. Nothing big happening for now. Still waiting for some adjustment here across this area of the seismic gap zone, where there's really not a whole lot of earthquake activity here in the last 30 days. Yesterday there was a little earthquake out here that I think it was this one. Yeah, 4.7. Just back prior to the subduction zone boundary here. So watch this area right here. A lot of movement happening over the last 30 days, migrating in this fashion. And this area here actually has quite a bit more slip rate, I believe, than the area back east here across the plate boundary. So this should fill in with some larger earthquake activity soon. As far as Santorini, Greece area goes, not a whole lot showing up there on the map, but we'll go double check it real quick, see what's being reported. Here's a live seismograph station there around the Santorini, Greece area. Number of earthquakes here dropping, but this is the last week. At one point, man, we were having a couple thousand earthquakes each day. Numbers dropped down to probably about 80 to 100. Still up there, somewhat, but as you can see, still got quite a bit of earthquake activity out there. Let's take a look here at the last couple events. 1.9 appears to be the latest. Previous to that, 2.6. It's still spread out all over the place. It's really not, just one little segment. It definitely looks like it has migration pointing down towards this area. If it is indeed a magma intrusion at a deeper level, it may take some time to further escalate. But I'm certain we have had about 15,000, 16,000 earthquakes or so in the last several weeks here across this area with no in-game result, like far as, cause and effect. Probably don't want it. It could be bad news out here if we see an eruption out there across the Santorini area or even the Colombo volcano. But earthquake activity continues there, folks. Nothing major has changed. It has not let up. If we check out the geophysics website there, we'll go over and check this out real quick from Greece. And go to the seismic network, and we'll just check out this recorded view. Hopefully they're up and running. Yeah, there's today's date, looks like. Still some earthquake activity is noted. You can see the smaller ones. This here looks to be an upper 2 or so. But remember, some weeks back here, we could not even see any of these lines, these seismograph digital lines. It was just completely covered with 4s and 5s, literally blocking out the seismograph lines themselves. But it's slowing down right now, but not completely. All right, let's see what else we have here. Hawaii last night popped up into eruption stage. covered that, so let's go double check that and see what's going on here real quick for the Kilauea volcano. Webcams, go over here and check this out. Hello, there we go. Still going. Still fountaining out there as of 8:05 a.m. Hawaii time. All right, so that's an eruption stage, and I guess I may go on through the remainder of today. It may drop off. There's our eruption. Notice the deflationary event. This one, yeah, I should be getting ready to come to an end pretty soon. They don't last much longer than like 12 to 18 hours or so, and then it will pause, and then here in a few days we'll see a return of another eruption. I mean, now's the time if you want to see the eruption out there. It's almost predictable. It's a pattern that's you can pretty much predict when the next eruption is going to happen, or have a decent time period window. So we'll watch that. That should end here today pretty soon, and then we'll watch and see if this goes back up for the next event. Nothing major going on out there across Hawaii. No unusual activity to note. Just a continual eruption and pause event there. Pretty crazy. All right. 5.0 Vanuatu right now. Let's go ahead and check out space weather activity. See if anything's going on across the sun. Looks like a little bit of M flare activity this morning, or late last night. Very low grade M flare. I have a feeling I already know where that's coming from. What is it, 4012? Let's take a look here. I know Kevin's taking a break from his website here, so we're probably not going to be seeing any of these manual inputs here about what's happening on the sun. But let's see. Click that. Is this working? I guess, is this the latest one? 035 1740. I believe that's it. Not a whole lot of complex sunspots out here, folks. I mean, I'm guessing that M flare probably came from this region. That's going to be 4012, it looks like. A little slow on the SDO side of things. But that's the latest image. That's the only area that I see would be capable of producing an M flare. Not a whole lot coming around the... Excuse me, goodness. That was a good one. I just came out of nowhere. Yeah, so I'm really not seeing anything of any major, space flare potential out here. I guess we'll continue to keep an eye on this region. Although it looks a little choppy here, not as organized as what it was here like a day or so ago. So the flare threat, he has 5%. I have 1% for an X flare. I don't see anything that's got X flare potential. 40 to 50% chance for an M flare. It's fairly reasonable. No major auroras in the forecast there. I know there was a G1 class storm up here forecasted for last night and tonight, but I don't think it's going to happen. I believe that CME missed us. The high-speed solar wind stream, just not enough there to stir up the auroras, but it's still up there in the forecast a little bit, looks like, as far as the maybe the G1 class storm. But I don't think we're going to see much out of that. All right, Storm Prediction Center here for severe weather. Well, that low pressure system quickly moving off to the east. This is the current severe weather outlook for today. Still got a tornado risk out there across the eastern area of the country. 2% extending up into Pennsylvania. Got a little bit of wind threat out there as well. Not so much for the hail, but there is a small potential. A little thunderstorm potential out here across California today as well. I may be outside observing the weather. We'll have to watch that. Aside from that, we'll put this numerical model into motion here and check out the forecast. Got a low pressure system out here across the west coast, bringing some rain and snow. Some decent rain across Southern California as well. There's that low pressure system that's going to quickly exit the area. And another one behind that, looks like. Southern California. Just the storm track out there's kind of aimed at Southern California right now. I know they definitely need some rain down there. But we're entering into a fairly active wet weather pattern out here for the West Coast. Have to see how this plays out. That's on Thursday. All right. Let me check something here real quick while I'm on it. I want to see what we got for Cape values out here for California. For the local folks, I think it's around afternoon time period we should see some storms firing up if we get a little bit of clearing. Cape values looks like rather strong up there across the northern end of the valley, drifting south through the afternoon and early evening. But I guess if we're going to see some storms, it's going to be probably around 1 to 2 o'clock in the afternoon through about 6 or 7 today. So we'll watch that. See if we get any thunderstorms popping up. In the meantime, folks, I'm out of here. Have yourself a wonderful day. We'll be back out here a little bit later on this evening for the Wednesday night update. For some reason, it feels like a Monday. I don't know why. A little bit of time glitch. Probably just me. But anyway, have a good one. We'll catch you guys out here a little bit later on this evening. Stay safe.